What the heck are NFTs? Everybody's talking about NFTs. There are no lukewarm opinions about NFTs. Either you think that they are the future of everything, or you think that they are a pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme. I don't know. I've heard it all. Some sort of scam. The Web3 version of Beanie Babies that is having its moment in the sun and then will disappear. But there's not a lot of in between. There's not, if you know something about NFTs, you have a strong opinion one way or the other. So today we're going to investigate. First of all, if you don't know what it is, we're going to talk about what is an NFT, a non fungible token. What are they? What do they represent? What can they do? What can't they do? And what role they have or could have. Or are they a scam? Are there drawbacks? Are there limitations? This is something we could talk about for a long, long time. And I know a lot of you are super interested in this topic because it's very timely. It's very apropos. Everybody, if you have NFTs, if you have a bag of NFTs, I want you to tell me in your comments. Tell me what you're holding. I may have a couple myself. All right, we're going to dive right in. We're going to dive right in right after this. Let's go! Goodness gracious, I got to do something about the volume of that video. Holy cow. Really jumped out of my seat. My audio interface is actually being sent in for a replacement because something happened to it. So I'm rocking the headphones today. Not very fashionable, but who cares? Hey, really excited to introduce Manny Lara, who is a local entrepreneur, an NFT and cryptocurrency aficionado and enthusiast. Just so you know, there really is no such thing as an NFT expert because it's like brand new. Like the seasoned veterans in this space have been doing it for 1 year. Those are your grizzled, long-standing, like most of the anybody who's done it longer than that is like ancient. And this space moves so fast. One day in the NFT world is like a year. So the folks who have a few months of experience, I mean, they are in high demand for their knowledge. But Manny's been doing this for we can call him a veteran. We'll call him a veteran of the NFTs, and he's an entrepreneur. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking. Manny, how are you, my friend?
Hey, thanks, Adam. I'm great. Thanks for having me on. And I think you captured it correctly that we're still learning who the experts are in this space. I think some of us who quickly read up and research become learn something new every time you read something. So I think it's still really early, and anyone can get into it right now. Yeah, it's exciting. So.
Now you can't really understand what NFTs are without at least a cursory understanding of what blockchain technology is and what cryptocurrencies are. And I know that's something that you're very familiar with. Can you give us a crash course? What is a blockchain?
Yeah.
How does that lead to cryptocurrency, and how does that lead to non-fungible tokens?
Yeah, I would. I'll give you like my understanding of it. I know there are a lot of techies that are much more. They get really into the weeds of it, but essentially, the blockchain is a technology that was developed, in concert with like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. An anonymous source named Satoshi Nakamura like published a white paper. And this is following the financial crisis of the housing bubble that crashed. There was this, a commentary on like, is fiat currency something that's stable? And so this grouping of anonymous, and it's could be more than one person, but they established this this digital currency called Bitcoin that was working on this new technology that essentially is unhackable, is super secure, complex, and miners, what they call miners, who basically solve these computational problems, earn Bitcoin for their work. and that was how it came into place. I believe around 2000, 2008, 2009, somewhere around then. And it took a while to kind of evolve, but now crypto's up to 40,000, give or take 1,000 or
Bitcoin is,
per coin, and Ethereum is the carve off of that. It's also blockchain based, but it's more around proof of work, proof of stake, they call it too. So
moving towards proof of stake.
Yeah, right, exactly. So they're moving towards proof of stake. They're still proof of work, but they're also what the NFTs are backed off of is mostly Ethereum blockchain.
A lot of them are, yeah.
So
I think a fundamental place of understanding for blockchain, for those of you that are familiar with a ledger, this is a distributed digital ledger. So once something happens, once a transaction takes place on the blockchain, then it is verified on the chain by other nodes. And it's creating this huge document of all of the transactions that happen in a timeline, right? And each one of those transactions are verified by the other nodes to include all the ones before it. So if you wanted to falsify something on the blockchain, it would be really, really hard to do. You mentioned it was secure because you'd have to change it, and then you'd have to change it for all the nodes and then all the things that happened before it. It's not impossible, but it is almost impossible to fake or to hack. That doesn't mean that there aren't scams out there, because there are a billion of them. Right. But when it comes to the really complex stuff, you can't change something on the blockchain. You can trick somebody into giving you something that they don't want to give you, but you can't really alter it. And you also hit the nail on the head with cryptocurrencies, is that these transactions that are happening on the ledger are being computed and calculated by these miners, and they're being compensated for their work. So Bitcoin originally was like a self-licking ice cream cone. These Bitcoin transactions were happening. People were calculating those transactions and getting compensated in Bitcoin for the blockchain transactions. But then it just grew from there, and now it's this huge albatross. So what does that have to do with the non-fungible token then? So bring us from cryptocurrencies, and that is like the most blasting through the thing rundown of blockchain and crypto, but how does that lead to non-fungible tokens?
So the non-fungible tokens, they're based on a blockchain based technology. So think of it's just another way of publishing or authenticating something of value. So right now the big thing in NFTs are artwork, digital artwork primarily. And you'll see, some of those, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs that some of the celebrities are owning, for thousands and even millions of dollars. What that means is that they purchase that using blockchain technology so that they can be identified as the owner of that digital art. And nobody
Why would I want to do that? Why don't I just right click and save as, and then it's mine? And
sure. And I think, that's a lot of people's questions, but what it does, and what they're learning quickly is there is some degree of uniqueness, value, privilege even. So you can write those into those, the NFT contracts, that if I own this, this digital art, I have maybe access to special parties or VIP events. And also if it generates value, you can sell that back on the market, and they would have to verify that you own that digital art. And some of that has exponentially increased in value over the last couple of years even. So
absolutely. And so it's not just the right click save as action. It's it's not just having a picture of it on your computer or your phone or whatever. It is there is metadata that is attached to that. That JPEG is just a representation of a smart contract of this sometimes very deep and complex metadata that represents something further. So what you're doing is you're proving ownership of this art, but really what you're getting is a membership card.
Right.
You know, if I have a membership card to an exclusive country club that I pay $1,000 for, that lets me into that place and gives me perks and discounts and freebies and gift baskets and you name it. If somebody were to take a picture of that card and bring it in, that wouldn't give them access to the country club. They would need their ownership verified. So that's the difference. This is an actual membership card.
Right.
And those kind of perks that you get, you know, either whether it's the community and the belonging or actual tangible, like they ship you things, or you get, I own an NFT that pays me real estate dividends every month from that project's real estate endeavors. I mean, there's a million ways that utility can exist.
Yeah.
And there's varying degrees. Some utility is ridiculous. Some there's no utility whatsoever.
Yeah.
What do you see as the future here? Because right now people are seeing, all right, I buy an NFT and I verify my ownership. It gives me exclusive access to a Discord channel that I don't care about. I don't care about the art. I don't care about any of this. Why should I understand this? There are some future applications for this, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we're just really scratching the surface on this. And you know, the novelty is some of these kind of more known digital arts. But I would start with the artist community, and you know, even venturing into things like music, where you're creating intellectual property, and you want to protect that, and so you can do that through an NFT creation or collection of NFTs that you as the author have ownership of, and you can sell those on like a marketplace like an OpenSea, where not only can you as an artist earn revenue from, but if somebody turns around and sells that, you can earn secondary and tertiary revenue. So you can even continue to earn on the sale of that from another buyer. And so that helps artists create more sustainable careers in their particular field, feel comfortable about their work product, and that nobody's like sampling or stealing it, because it has to be authenticated. And so that's one of the advantages from the creative side. I would say, you know, it's starting to get into the real estate side as well, because
tell me about that.
Yeah, so I own a couple of digital real estate plots. And what that is essentially, you know, there are a few companies that are mapping out real estate around the world. You know, it's a 100 meter by 100 meter grid, but you purchase that through an NFT. You basically can authenticate that you own that digital property, meaning like if I wanted to put an AR image, an augmented reality image in that property, I can do so. You know, you think about like billboards in a digital space, you know, out in the public. So you can essentially advertise, you can market, you can recruit using this new digital landscape. And
now you're talking about digital real estate, like metaverse, not an actual, it doesn't represent a physical plot of land on the earth.
Actually, it's
or
both.
It can.
It can. And actually, yeah, there's a couple of companies that are plotting on the actual the world itself, and they're mapping those out, and you essentially own, you know, one plot per 0.1 NFT or ETH. You know, and they're using Ethereum or Solana, some of those other maybe different types of technology to validate that purchase. And so now, I mean, I own a couple of plots in this area, and they're, you know, they're selling quickly. And they are affordable, and that's the thing. It gives accessibility. I don't have to spend, you know, for thousands of dollars on this, maybe a couple hundred, and now I have digital rights over that. And we're coming into a little bit of a quandary with that, because you can't see it, right, unless you have augmented reality or you go into the virtual world. So, like, who truly has the ownership rights of that, right? So right now, these companies are scaling fast, and they're starting to take hold of that, and they themselves are generating revenue from mapping those plots out. But I do see down the road, you know, as things like, you know, you think about, you know, Pokemon Go, people are still doing that, you know, around some of these areas, and think of doing that, but with something that's more ubiquitous, like sunglasses or even regular glasses. Like there's technology. You know, Google has already proven that with their Google Glass eyewear. but Ray-Ban's getting into that business. Apple's getting into that business. Facebook. It's going to be something much more accessible for communities, and the businesses that will realize that will say, hey, I should buy my property, my physical property in that digital space so that I can own that, not only from a physical ownership, but from a digital ownership perspective as well.
And there's a land grab too. There's a huge land grab, not just metaverse land, but also what you would colloquially refer to as a web address as opposed to a .com or a .org or a .edu. There's .eth, the ENS addresses. There's .crypto, .nft. All of those. The cool thing is once you buy, like I own adambrotz.eth and I own adambrotz.nft or some real Adam, something like that. Once I own that domain, you can call it a domain, across the board. I own it for life. I don't have to renew it. And I own it literally everywhere. That can be my name across all platforms, and that ownership is verified and can't be faked and taken from me. So the thing about the blockchain is everything that can be verified on the blockchain, it can also be viewed by anyone on the blockchain. Obviously, it is coded and privacy protected, so it doesn't have my name necessarily attached to it. But you really avoid, once we get past the kind of wild, wild west vibe of the NFTs and everybody getting scammed and stuff, being tricked into doing this, that, or the other, it really is safer and more secure, and you don't have to worry as much about your identity getting stolen unless you give somebody access to it. So right now, everybody is just trying to get these .eth addresses and these .crypto and .nft addresses and claiming ownership for life on the blockchain. It is similar to the .com grab of the mid to late 90s of everybody just trying to, and for those of us that were around and saw the transition from Web 1 to Web 2, from the information economy to the platform creator economy, like we've seen this happen before and we saw resistance to it. We saw the writing on the wall, and the folks who were able to capitalize on it and say, look, we don't know what the future holds for this technology, but it's clear that this is huge. Those folks are the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Jeff Bezos or whatever. Do you see parallels between that time and right now switching to Web3 and blockchain and NFTs?
It's almost like a second chance at technology, right? So if you missed it on the first go around with early internet, I grew up around that too. I was in college at the time, and I remember it being so novel and foreign, and you felt like you had to be this tech wizard to get involved with that,
right?
And I think
there's a barrier to entry.
You had to learn coding and all these other things. But with Web3, now they're referring to as Web3, or the third version of web, it's much more accessible. I don't have to be a tech expert. I don't have to be, no special coding. There are platforms that you can quickly learn and be able to purchase an NFT, or so the barriers of entry are much easier to get into. I just think that people are still trying to learn what the value of that NFT space is right now. So
Well, and 99% of NFTs, just for the right, you can buy an NFT for a million reasons. You can buy an NFT because you want to support the artist, because as you said, that artist is going to receive a lifetime royalty every time that piece is sold to another party. The original artist will get anywhere from a 1 to 10% royalty, depending on how they set the thing. You could buy an NFT because you want to be part of a community. There are some, your gym could have a gym membership NFT that you buy, and that gives you access to the gym and its services and its trainers. And then you could sell it to somebody else when you're done with it, and they don't have to worry about sales anymore. And you can get your money back. There's a million reasons why you could do it. You just like the art. You want to be part of the community. You think that it will increase in value and you can sell it and make a profit. You like the vibe that it gives off of exclusivity and coolness. There's a million reasons why, and then there's going to be a million reasons why one will want to own an NFT that we haven't even thought of yet.
Correct. Yeah, and there's still, people are still ideating on that. I would say the other aspect is, being able to protect information. If it's your information, if it's a valuable or collectible, You want to be able to say that, if it's, somehow in the market or somebody grabs that or tries to, you can protect that through your, the NFT, the blockchain technology associated with that. I would say certainly membership is a big advantage. Some very exclusive restaurants in New York are now selling NFTs to get VIP access.
Nice.
And it doesn't even pay for the food; it just pays for access. And you'll have people that say, "Hey, how do I get in on that? How do I be part of that?" So you'll also have some of that as well. But beyond that, if you're an owner, you want to be maybe granted privileges or access or something to that effect. If it's first rights to art collections or our gallery openings or whatever it might be, you have that, through the NFT. So,
yeah. Right on. What would you say to somebody who says that NFTs are a Ponzi scheme or a scam?
I would say do some research on your own. Look at the technology, look at who's kind of leading discussions on it. Some of it, yes. I mean, just like any industry, there are bad players out there. But look at the broader landscape of it and maybe the possibilities of what it could bring. Because I don't see it just as the board yacht ape club groups or any of those. It has so much more utility, and that's the thing. You use the keyword of utility. What value does it bring? Not from a maybe financial, but a value proposition to them.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, and also it wouldn't hurt to have a Bored Ape that is worth $1.5 million right now.
Right.
Absolutely. What would you say to somebody who is interested but has no idea where to start?
Yeah. So I would say, there's a lot of the social media channels have experts that are really trying to educate beginners. And I learned a lot on LinkedIn. There are a few strong experts out there. They're just publishing educational material. They're providing videos and white papers and just trying to push that content out for knowledge. Twitter is another space that crypto and Web3 have taken over.
They really have
a lot of chatter there. Just be careful because you can go down rabbit holes pretty quick there. But I would say LinkedIn to me seems much more academic, more of an academic approach about NFTs and Web3.
Right.
But and I think people are still writing books about it. They're still doing their research to publish. But and maybe dip the toe in the water around how do I create a wallet so that I can purchase NFTs and create those collections. Maybe make sure that you're not, putting all your eggs in one basket either. You're dabbling. Right. It's not something that you're going to retire on, or bank on. So I think those are some of the kind of beginner steps I would recommend. So I
would be really scared to write a book on NFTs or the space right now because it's changing. It is changing so fast.
Yep.
And if anyone dives in to the space, just be skeptical of everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the whole thing is a scam. Just because, I mean, if you look at the beginning of Web 2, the Nigerian prince who wants to give you his fortune, that email scam is only famous and is a trope and everybody knows about it because it worked on thousands of people.
Yes.
But now, right now, we just know better. We know we get that email and we delete it, or we get the email that says this prescription for only $3.99, or this person wants to talk to you. You just delete it. It's junk mail. Right
if it's
now,
too good to be true, it might be, right? A lot of times it is, right? So, yeah.
And now there's so many people who see that right now there's a sensitive period before mass adoption of this technology and this movement that there are bad actors trying to take advantage of. They're out there. There are scammers, an abundant amount of them. That doesn't mean the whole thing is a scam. And it doesn't mean that you should avoid trying to learn about it because it's important.
Yeah. No, great points. Do your homework. If you know people in that particular field, reach out. Test the waters with other other friends or colleagues about that too. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the NFTs for Newbies podcast. Rich Cardona and Heather Parody. Rich Cardona is a veteran helicopter pilot, Marines, and Heather Parody is a military spouse. It is the most listened to NFT podcast in the world. They just passed 1 million streams after only like 7 months or something crazy. Yeah, they're good people. That's a great place to start, because neither of them knew anything about NFTs at the beginning, and they're like, you know what, we're going to learn how to do it, and we're going to learn how to do it in public. And we're, so
that's great.
That's pretty funny. That's awesome. Any parting thoughts? I mean, it's impossible to cover all of this in 25 minutes time. Sure. But really, I think what we wanted to do was just say, like, look, it's not a scam. There are dangers, but you should probably at least gain a cursory awareness, because it's not going anywhere. Did we leave anything out?
No. I think that's really important to point out is I always say the genie's out of the bottle. Like, there's no putting this back in. It is going to continue to scale, and and people are going to be more interested and involved with this space. I do see it becoming more broad-based in different industries. The restaurant industry, there's already a pathway there through, Gary Vee's club out in New York. And, there's other organizations that are standing up NFTs as fundraisers as well, potentially. So
absolutely.
And so it does start with community. What kind of community are you trying to build around this? And that's where you can have some maybe sense of security. Like, people are in it for the right reasons. They're not trying to scam people. They're not trying to turn a quick buck. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Hey, appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
Manny, Laura, everybody ask you to hang on the line for just a minute. I'll talk to you afterwards. Well, there's your crash course. Blockchain is a distributed digital ledger. Cryptocurrency is compensation that is given to miners to process those distributed ledger transactions at a base level, and it is expanded from there. It is digital currency that ownership is solidified on the blockchain, and NFTs are non-fungible. That means they are not transferable immediately for a fiat currency. They can obviously have a monetary value, but you couldn't use an NFT at a bank right now. You can use some cryptocurrencies at some banks. You can't use an NFT. That's why it's non-fungible. And that is basically an ownership of a digital asset that is proven on the blockchain. And it is more than just a JPEG. It is the tech behind it, the metadata attached to it, that gives you perks or no perks or whatever. So there it is. There's your crash course. Just know it's something you got to know about, because someday if Blockbuster was still around, your video rental membership would be on the blockchain. Your Netflix is going to be on the blockchain someday. You're going to have to verify through MetaMask. Mark my words, if in 10 years that's not the case, come hunt me down. We'll have a conversation. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We will see you next time.